Okay, so I won't delay us. Let's start. So as I said, I am Evangelo. I'm the program manager of higher education in animal management and zoology at Capel Manor. So we're here today to introduce you to higher education at Capel Manor College and also the two different degrees that we currently offer. We're going to go through a PowerPoint for me to introduce the courses to you as well. And following the PowerPoint, we will then go through any questions that you potentially have that I'm more than happy to answer for you. I also have my colleague with me, Mr. Thomas Logan. He will be monitoring the chat. So please, whenever you have any queries, please put the questions that you have in the chat. And then following the talk, we can then go through any questions that you potentially have. Okay, let's go. Now, higher education at Capel Manor College. All the higher education provision at Capel is based on our 30-acre estate at Enfield. So it's only taught in our Enfield campus in North London. Higher education is based in the refurbished Manor House, where only degree students have access to. And both of our degrees are modern. What do I mean by the term modern? Most universities actually eliminate the practical component of degrees. They have predominantly theory-based degrees, and because of that, we have ensured that we've amalgamated both the theory and the practical. Why have we done this? The reason why we've done this is to ensure that our students are as employable as possible. So by introducing you to the theory and also ensuring that you put that theory in practice and develop those practical skills, that increases your employability. So we do have two degrees. We have a foundation degree in animal management and zoology, and we also have the BSc top-up degree in animal management and zoology. Both degrees focus on animal management as the overarching topic. However, through our units, we have some areas that you can specialize in. So we have some zoo-focused units, some conservation units, and some units focusing on farm animals. We're very, very fortunate at Capel because of the fact that we actually have a zoo on site. We have a zoo on site that is called Capel's Creatures. We have over 300 animals, and we also have a farm of 150 animals. The animals that we have truly do vary. For instance, in our zoo, we've got some primates like marmosets, we've got lemurs, we've got meerkats, we even have exotic animals, so reptiles, amphibians, we even have a crocodilian, and an array of different birds of prey as well, small rodents. We also have the farm, which houses cattle, sheep, goats, poultry, again, a mixture of animals. And throughout your course, you're able to work with an array of different species. Now, our course has 100% course satisfaction, which is great. Students are loving the degree that we are offering, and they're loving the experience that they have. Yes, we are not a massive university, but actually that allows our students to have a very positive and good relationship between staff and students. We're very pastoral. We support all of our students. We've had lots of students that have progressed from lower levels up to the degree and are now actively working in the industry. We've had people apply externally. So it really does work, and students are really taking the best experience that they have throughout our course. Now, we are in partnership with the Royal Agricultural University. So this is a large university in Cirencester. And as a student of our courses, you experience both the benefits of being a Capel Manor student, access to all the resources that Capel have, but also access to all of the online resources that the Royal Agricultural University has. In addition, the degrees are accredited by the Royal Agricultural University. As I previously mentioned, higher education is based in the Manor House. And what you can see here in this image, this is actually the Manor House. This is where most of our taught subjects for the degree are, unless you're in the practical areas. There is a common room in the Manor House as well that degree students have access to, and also a small kitchen. Now, if I go through a brief introduction of our foundation degree. So the foundation degree is a 2-year program. There's an array of different units that are taught. One of the units is the Animal Husbandry, Health and Nutrition unit. This is a practical unit that is run all year round in the first year. So students get to work in our zoo throughout this unit, handle an array of different species, learn about enclosure design. You also have some specialist units. For example, we have a unit in herpetological and avian management that focuses on the study of reptiles and amphibians, and also on birds. So the disease component, their anatomy, their management, the conservation impact and importance. We also have a conservation unit known as biodiversity and conservation. You learn about animal nutrition. There's the advanced animal management unit that is taught in the 2nd year that has a bit more emphasis on farm animals. You also get to undertake a research project in your 2nd year where you're able to literally conduct research in any area of the animal industry that you're interested in. You learn about reproduction, about breeding, about genetics, about welfare, ethics. You also complete placements between the foundation degree in both years. You learn about business within the animal industry and also about anatomy. So you learn about the anatomy and physiology of an array of different species, from invertebrates to reptiles to birds to mammals, and you even conduct dissections within our lab as part of that unit. So what are the practical skills that are incorporated in part of this degree? You actually develop an array of conservation surveying skills. So what you can see here in the top is some of our students that were conducting survey skills on invertebrates. So you do invertebrate surveying skills, you do bird surveying skills, small mammals, even aquatic amphibians, all as part of the conservation unit. You also learn how to conduct animal encounters. So our students, as you can see here, conduct encounters with the public. So they're taught how to conduct a successful encounter, and they act as an encounters officer. You work on the farm, as I previously mentioned, and you learn about husbandry skills working with an array of different livestock. And this, we've got lots of rare breeds of livestock at the farm, and these are our red poll cattle, but there are also practical skills that are embedded in the lab sessions. So you do learn how to use microscopes as part of disease and immunology, and you also learn how to conduct correct health checks for an array of different animals. As part of the first year, you do a unit on ethology and training, and you actually have to train an animal. So here, Chloe has trained one of our birds, our Rosella. We've had individuals that have trained our crocodilian, people that have trained livestock, people that have trained the civet that we have, meerkats, reptiles. So again, there's lots of animals on site that you get to train and experience as part of that unit. And as I previously mentioned, you also learn about enclosure design. How do we produce an enclosure which is providing adequate welfare, high welfare for the animals, making it aesthetically pleasing for the visitor, but also for the keeper that has to work with the animals. So you develop lots of zoo husbandry skills and also farm husbandry. As part of the second year, you actually have a conservation trip. So the last few years, we've been taking our students to the Isle of Man. So in the Isle of Man, we've been focusing on marine wildlife. So students have actually been conducting and developing knowledge in surveying cetaceans. Cetaceans are marine mammals, whales and dolphins. So students have been going on boats, surveying marine mammals. We've also been conducting surveys with birds, even invertebrates along the coast, and even plants that live around the coast. So students develop practical conservation skills which complement the theory that we teach them as part of the biodiversity unit. As I mentioned, we conduct placements. So students go to conduct work experience in both year 1 and year 2. And literally the world is your oyster. Students have gone to Costa Rica. Students have gone to South Africa. Students have gone to South America, Thailand, absolutely everywhere. Students have stayed in the UK, gone and worked in wildlife and rehabilitation centres, in zoological centres, in farms, anything that you're interested in. And the only thing we require is for the actual placement to be approved by the college, and then students can go and complete their placement anywhere they like. And these are all pictures of our students. So one of our students here was working in a safari park. Student here was working in a rehabilitation center. Student here had gone into zoological establishment. Now, a brief introduction of the BSc. So a lot of our students complete the foundation degree and then progress onto the BSc, the top up to have a full Bachelor's of Science in Animal Management and Zoology. But we also have lots of individuals who actually apply directly on the BSc provision, following that they already have a foundation degree in the same discipline. Now, again, we've got very specialist and exciting units as part of the BSc course. We have a unit on carnivore management, which focuses on the management of carnivorous species. Not only mammals, but you learn about carnivorous birds, carnivorous fish, carnivorous reptiles, invertebrates. You have a conservation unit that focuses on ecology, species identification, and tracking. There's also a dissertation, so students conduct a research project. We've had students conduct an array of different research. We've had some students that analyze data of distribution of birds in Peru. We've had students that have analyzed hierarchical systems in African penguins in captivity. Other students have looked into primate behavior. Literally anything that students are interested in, you've got your allocated supervisors that guide you to have a very interesting and valid research project. You also learn about animal evolution, advanced animal behavior. We have a unit that introduces you to primate management, and also advanced animal enrichment, where you also develop technology skills that can be associated with enrichment that could then be applied to animals. And you're also introduced to sustainability within animal collections. As part of the BSc, there's also practical skills that are embedded in the units. There's an array of practicals. One of them, for example, students learn how to conduct, how to produce different enrichment devices, and students actually are part of animal enrichment workshops. So you learn how to use fire hose, which in turn could be used in zoological collections. You learn rope splicing techniques, and this is an image of some of our students this year who actually produced this entire massive device as part of their workshop. You also learn how to use camera traps, and we set cameras around the college and you analyze the data, and you learn how to track animals. We introduce you to GIS, which is a software that is used as part of conservation to map the movement of animals. We do handling sessions of reptiles, amphibians. So again, there's a nice mixture of practicals. The third year does have more theory, but there still are embedded practicals throughout the course. Now, as part of being a student at Capel, you actually get to experience lots more rather than what only the course entails. So we have several workshops with specialists in the industry. We have herpetologists that come in and talk about their experience and their employability as well. We have guest lecturers, and there's several trips between year 1 all the way up to year 3. And every single trip has an element of behind the scenes. You don't just just visit a zoological collection. You get behind the scenes access. You meet zookeepers who then talk about their own employability, or we conduct behavioral studies within a zoological collection. We run conservation trips, as the Vice Principal previously mentioned. We've been to South Africa several times now, where students have learned how to track African wildlife, but we've also worked in a rhino rehabilitation center. As we can see down here, this is one of our students who is hand rearing and learning how to produce formula for an orphan rhino where his mother was poached. So we've been in Peru. You learn about surveying invertebrates, amphibians. We even go and learn about wild crocodilians, birds observation. So it is very, very exciting conservation trips that we run. We also have an HE seminar where individuals that teach you, so lecturers, but also external individuals, share their research. And we also have a study tour where we go to the Royal Agricultural University. Now, why do you want to study? What's the whole point of studying and doing a degree? And it is linked with employability. So all of these images that you see here are just some of our students that are currently working in the industry following the completion of the foundation degree or the Bachelor's of Science degree. We have individuals like Max who are working in wildlife rehabilitation. We have individuals like Priscilla and Amy who are working as zookeepers. We have individuals who are animal trainers. Some people decided to become animal educators. We have someone who's an animal welfare assistant. Another individual that is working in Battersea Dogs Trust, where she is assessing the behavior of dogs, which in turn allows them to be rehomed. We have people working as farm managers' assistants, people who are field conservationists. For example, here, Christina is currently an intern in Toucan Ranch in Costa Rica, and she is rehabilitating wildlife and reintroducing them back into Costa Rica. We have individuals as part of their work experience where they did so well that the placement actually offered them a job following the completion of their degree, which is what happened over here with Fionn, who was offered a job in hydrotherapy of dogs due to her work experience. Lots of our students have also progressed onto masters, conducting masters of research, masters of conservation, and more. So our degree is very complementary to an array of different employability areas, which in turn allows you to progress successfully in the industry following the completion of your course. So to conclude, as I mentioned, our degrees are modern. We've got lots of exciting resources. We have a zoo on site, we've got a farm on site. There's a nice mixture of practical as well. And students have 100% course satisfaction. So if you are interested, you can apply through UCAS. And as I mentioned previously, I'm Evangelo, and I'm more than happy to go through any queries that you potentially have. So as I mentioned, as part of the reproduction unit, actually, one of the practicals that you learn about is lambing. So we do, we've got some questions. So we do have students who are, who learn about lambing and how lambing actually happens. You go on the rota and you learn about dystocia, which is the difficulty of sheep giving birth as well. And you actually are on a rota while all of our sheep are giving birth, which in turn allows you to learn how to be partly a farmer as well. And we've had several students who have seen triplets being born, who have even assisted a birth, which is quite exciting. So there's someone, Jasmine, you're asking about access to higher education. So access to higher education is a separate course. The actual breakout room that you've come into today is for higher education. It's not the access to higher education course. So you could go back into the room and ask to be put into the animal management room. The animal management room is between level 1 and level 3, which talks about the access course, because this breakout room only focuses on higher education in animal management and zoology. Vicky, you were offered a place on HE in veterinary and animal science. Vicky, is that linked with access to higher education again? Is that the, okay, Vicky's just gone, so I'm assuming that was the case. So something else that I could potentially tell you. So
Vicky's still in the room, it's Jasmine that's gone.
Oh, Jasmine. Oh, okay, lovely. So, Vicky, am I assuming, are you discussing, is your question about access to higher education, or is it about higher education? You offered the same as Jasmine, yes. So then you'd be looking into access to higher education, which would be in the animal management group. We do have students that have been working part-time while completing the access course. But if you do join that breakout room, they'll be able to tell you more about the course. No problem. To tell you a bit more about part of the practicals that we run. So as students have, as part of the first year, the husbandry unit, have actually worked with, as I mentioned previously, an array of different animals. And the way we actually tackle it, you end up being broken down into a smaller group, and some of you learn about enclosure design, some of you are conducting animal handling, some of you are conducting feeding of our zoo animals. And what happens is students get rotated around these areas as the academic year progresses, so all students end up having the exact same experience. Our encounters are actually something that run very positively, and students are, it's actually an assessment, and students do worry about the assessment of conducting an encounter, but it's one of the proudest moments that they have once completing the encounter, because you do get some public around you and you actually learn how to be put on the spot while working with animals, which applies both in the zoo world, but also in the conservation world, also in the farm world. So it's actually a vital skill. And the assessments that we have, again, vary. They're not all reports. So you do learn about scientific reports, but you also do learn about how to present presentations, and you also conduct debates. So some of our assessments are formal debates where students are given an actual topic and they research the topic and they then debate the topic. And we also have portfolios where students develop portfolios of evidence, and exams. So there is a mixture of assessments. It's not one type of assessment, which in turn allows you to again develop lots of different skills, which are transferable. When you graduate, again, you can impact your employability through the development of these skills. So I can also talk to you a bit more about our conservation trips. So as I mentioned, we've been to South Africa. While we've been to South Africa, some of our students have actually gone back to the exact same place that we took them to conduct their placement. One of the rhino rehabilitation center that we have gone to is known as Care for Wild, which is in South Africa, in Hoedspruit. And that was actually one of the most phenomenal experiences lots of our students have had as part of an extension to the degree, because not only you get practical hands-on experience with one of the largest mammals in the world of Africa, but students also are educated about the impact of poaching. Poaching is a big conservation topic that is analysed and is discussed. However, we look into the core elements of poaching while we're in South Africa. And we do the exact same thing when we are discussing about tracking. So we actually go on game drives and we find tracks, and we teach students how to identify species in accordance to their tracks, but also in accordance to their vocalizations and the feces. So again, it's quite interactive, and part of these skills are covered in our BSc course as well, in the ecology species tracking course, where students are taught how to distinguish animals in accordance to feces, in accordance to skulls. So we bring lots of resources within our sessions while we're teaching them to make them even more interactive. In addition, some of the workshops we do, some animals come into class. For example, as part of the first year, you have a workshop with an umbrella cockatoo. So this umbrella cockatoo is an animal that was rescued, and what we do is we analyze him as a case. So the parrots here, we go through the symptoms of when he first was brought in and rescue, what his background was like, what he actually looked like, and after that we slowly eliminate different diseases that could potentially cause the traits, the physical traits and physiological traits that the parrot was exhibiting. So again, we also have a zoo director that comes in and discusses how he set up his own zoological establishment. As part of our HE seminar this year, we've had the program manager, conservation manager of the Royal Zoological Society of Scotland. She came down and she spoke about the reintroduction of beavers. She also spoke spoke about the problem that we have with Scottish wildcats and how Scottish wildcats are trying to be reintroduced back into Scotland, the impact of genetics, the impact of the process of reintroduction. So these are just an example of some of the workshops that you have, some of the guest lecturers. When we've taken students to London Zoo, students conducted behavioral studies on the squirrel monkeys, and you learn how to look at the amount of time that animals spend showing a specific behavior. And following this, we then analyze the data. So what does this potentially mean? What does the fact that it's showing such a high proportion of grooming behavior potentially indicate? And we discuss things and we analyze things. So as I've mentioned, it's a very unique degree because it exposes you to lots of different components of the animal industry. It also exposes you to current issues. So we discuss the impact of what's happening right now in the animal industry. When we look into welfare and ethics, we discuss, should we all be vegans? Should we be carnivores? Should we have zoological establishments? So there's several sessions that are highly interactive with you as part of the course as well. And again, it's actually quite nice and positive how all of our students have very good relationships with their tutors, which in turn allows us to ensure that we support you as best as we can, and we do get you to the point where you want to be within the animal industry. And I know we've got a few seconds left now, so I hope you enjoyed the talk and it was informative. And any questions that you have, please do not hesitate to contact us. Take care, everybody.